Hey, Russell Delk, Mississippi College, Spring Convocation Report 2019. Today I'm going to talk to you about my experiment that I did research on and an experiment in for social media's influence among coworkers. So basically what I wanted to do was talk about something that I experience every day. I work at C Spire Business Solutions, and so we're constantly being inundated with these two things: face-to-face interactions and computer-mediated communication. Now, there's a third element of communication involved in that. It goes beyond just water cooler talk, and it goes beyond just email and text messaging. And that's the incorporation of social media. Now, at C Spire, we also have an in-house social media platform, Facebook for Business, that we use. But on an interpersonal level, we have social media that we use for Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram accounts. So basically what it's determining to do, or what we're trying to do here, is the communication within the workplace equals a communication dynamic to investigate. And so the question that I had was, what influences coworkers' behavior and attitude, and how do these communication methods influence them as well? So, you have a coworker that you see day to day, but if you see them in a different light, such as social media, does that change anything? So my hypothesis was this: social media will have an influence on the behavior and attitude among coworkers in a business environment. So what I did, I wanted to define three things for you. First off, social media. So Karin Hayes defined social media as an internet-based mass personal communication tool with a goal to facilitate interactions between users. And so basically this is done through the interaction of user-generated content, posts, pictures, comments, etc. Attitude, we're going to define that like this: a way of thinking or feeling about someone. And behavior is simply the way in which one acts or conducts themselves, especially towards others. So, the three networking platforms that are going to be discussed through social media is going to be Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for this study. In terms of theory, I chose a social cognitive theory. It proposes that an individual's ability to learn behavior and gain knowledge is directly related to the observation of others using the elements of social interactions. The social interactions that I'm comparing them to right now is the influence of social media versus the influence that they used to have or may be having with face-to-face communications. With the observational learning element of social cognitive theory, that is the essence of this experiment. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to parallel the Bobo doll experiment that Bandura performed in creating this theory with three different groups of individuals who were co-workers at C Spire in order to observe any behavioral attitudinal changes with the element of social media. So just as in that experiment, what I did was I formed a questionnaire to separate 30 participants as my sample into three different groups. And these were the questions that I asked. Are you currently using social media? Which platform are you currently using? Are you currently following any coworkers on social media? What this allowed me to do is I was able to separate, based off of those answers, 5 male, 5 female into 3 distinct groups. Group A were currently using social networks and were following coworkers. Group B were currently using social networks but were not following coworkers. And Group C was my control. In terms of the initial questionnaire, once I had them separated, I sent an initial questionnaire using qualitative research. I had open-ended questions just to see what their responses. Once I got their responses, I wanted to see where it was going to take me for the next set of questions. So, the questions that I asked them: how would you describe your interactions with coworkers? What factors would you say influence your attitude towards your coworker superiors or those with less rank in your corporate hierarchy? Where do you learn the most about your coworkers, and what influences your behavior towards coworkers? Now what I did was I took their responses. And so here in the white, some responses were like this: minimal, professional, friendly, no judgment of others using social media, etc. What I did was I took the responses from everybody, and then I basically used one word as a facilitator or to show the dominant response from everyone. So for office interactions in Group A, they were casual and professional was how they identified. Influencing attitudes, it was the golden rule. It was all about respect. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that was generally the remarks that I was getting from the influencing attitudes, which led me to the golden rule facilitator. Learning method, face-to-face. Influencing behavior towards coworkers. When I had multiple responses that were very similar in frequency, I just put them all up here. So it was face-to-face interactions, the golden rule, some social media, and others were just simply indifferent to the question. For Group B, their responses were very similar. Office interactions, casual conversation, professional, business-oriented. Influencing attitudes, it was the golden rule, and again, professional. The learning method was face-to-face, and influencing behaviors towards coworkers also was the golden rule. Data was captured through the frequency of responses as well for Group C. So the control, it was very straightforward. Casual, professional, golden rule, face-to-face, professional, and golden rule for the behavior towards coworkers as well. Once I got these initial responses, I told the three groups this is what I would be doing. For Group A, I told them to continue to interact as they normally would, both in person and in social media. For Group B, however, I told them to follow and interact someone using their social media platform that they currently work with for the next 2 weeks. And then Group C, I simply informed them that they would be having a follow-up questionnaire delivered to them in 2 weeks' time. So 2 weeks' time was up. I sent out another questionnaire, and these are the questions that I asked them. Describe how social media affected your interactions with coworkers. What factors, if any, did social media have in influencing your attitude towards coworkers? Number 3, do you feel you were able to learn anything about your coworkers through social media? C. The fourth question was, how did social media influence your behavior towards coworkers? And then I wanted an overall response to see about some consistencies between attitudes and behaviors. I asked in the last question, overall, what influence does social media have on your attitude and behavior towards coworkers? Group A responded in terms of social media affecting coworker interactions, no impact, but they did also have a higher frequency in gaining personal information. How my coworkers are outside the office provides a conversation starter. Social media influencing attitudes, no impact. No factor does not influence my attitude with some responses. Learning about coworkers through social media, however, yes. Yes, and it was almost constantly concerning personal information. Social media influencing behavior, no impact. Overall influence of social media, no influence. Group B, again, affecting coworker interactions, they were able to gain more personal information, otherwise no impact. Influencing attitudes, no impact, however, it was also almost equal to yes to personal interests. Learning about coworkers, yes. Social media influencing behavior, no impact, some things, they learned some things, and then yes, that was a fairly even split among the Group B participants on the influencing behavior. And overall, we also got no influence, personal insights, but there was also a third party here that said positive. The positive responses came in the terms of this. For me, social media had a positive influence on how my behavior, and attitude towards coworkers changed. I thought that was pretty interesting. Group C, the control group stayed fairly consistent. No impact or personal information, only personal information concerning coworker interactions. No impact on attitude. Nothing yes in some things when it talked about learning stuff through social media. So there was definitely an element of knowledge gained through social media on a personal level for all three groups. Social media influencing behavior, no impact. And then overall influence of social media, no influence. So group A commonalities, to sum up, social media, you could learn about the coworkers, however, there was no influence of behavior and no influence on attitude. In group B commonalities, they referenced that they were able to learn about the coworkers. They did show a higher frequency in influencing behaviors and gaining personal insights, as well as promoting positivity. Group C, the control, face-to-face interactions, no impact, no influence. And keep in mind, this was the control group, so they had no prior knowledge of anything concerning social media. The limitations of this study that I had, I was not able to access the SPSS statistical software. So while I do have results based off of frequencies of responses, I cannot say that they are significant. I was limited to the 2 weeks time frame. I would suggest anywhere from 2 months to 6 months to really give some life events an opportunity to happen. You may see an increase in some attitudes or behaviors, especially during an election season. I'm sure that could get interesting. Sample size, 30 participants. I would say 3 groups of possible 30, splitting it up into 15s, 15 male, 15 female would be an option for future research. Post-question interviews, I was limited to the time frame, but I would have liked to dove into some more qualitative research questions concerning the act of positive responses using social media. For future research, exploring self-disclosure among coworkers, why they feel more comfortable sharing in either a computer-mediated environment versus face-to-face or using social media, and then explore motivations behind following and why you follow coworkers. Is it just to be nosy? Is it to actually have some information behind there? That would be interesting as well. In conclusion, social media possesses the power to enhance knowledge of coworkers. That was evident on all 3 groups. Influence behavior towards a coworker, and potentially improve a relationship through positivity of social media. So I thank you for the opportunity to present to you. I look forward to our follow-up conversation mid-April, and I look forward to hearing from you then. Thank you.